Have I not been telling everybody that the Chyrstul Kizer case is going to warm up? All those people who are pissed off about Kyle Rittenhouse being acquitted, they're going to come out of the woodwork for Chrystul. It's going to get nasty. And we have a couple of morons here who are going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
I've been saying it. I've been telling you. They're going to come out and say that because Kyle Rittenhouse got away with murder, Chyrstul Kizer should be released. And if she's not, well, that just shows you how racist the society is and how Kyle is a white supremacist who only got away with it because the judge was a KKK member. You're going to hear these arguments, I'm telling you, and they're going to come from people like these two. Let's listen in.
Today's main case is about Chyrstul Kizer. You might know who Chyrstul Kizer is because she's been awaiting trial for a few years, and so her story has kind of already been out for a while. But if you haven't heard of her, I'm going to tell you her story and then tell you why this is relevant right now. So Chyrstul Kizer, on June 5th of 2018, she is accused of shooting Randall Philip Volar III and then lighting his house on fire. And
she's accused of shooting him. Hey, let's not mention the fact that she killed him. Oh, let's just kind of bury that part. She just shot him.
Stealing his car.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, and several other felonies around, burning the house down and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So Chrystul was 17 at the time that this happened. And what came out from her attorney and sort of the investigation of this is that Chyrstul Kizer is claiming that she was a child sex trafficking victim and that Volar was her trafficker.
Well, that's what she's claiming. Keep in mind, she only made this claim late in the proceedings in her last motion hearing. All of a sudden, her lawyers, who must have stayed all night up looking through the statutes, came across this sex trafficking exception and said, hey, this might work. And so they concocted this sex trafficking excuse, or at least I think that's what happened. Now, maybe she has been sex trafficked. Okay, that's quite possible, but it's not a given. But to them, it is. It's a given because Chrystul said so.
Wow.
And that she killed him because she felt it was the only way to protect herself.
Sure.
So the problem with it is that she took an Uber to get to his house. She wasn't there with him.
Yeah, that's kind of a small problem. Well, she did it to get away from him. Well, she drove to him to shoot him. Okay, now I understand a lot of people will say, well, being sex trafficked, there are some issues with that. Okay, but that's still an important factor that's going to come out in this case, that she went to him. And they say, well, Kyle Rittenhouse, he didn't belong there. He went to Kenosha looking for trouble. So did she. She went looking for trouble. Not only that, she spelled it out in a text message that she went down there to shoot him. But that's different somehow. Okay.
She took an Uber to get there and shot him, burned his house down.
And shot him. Don't mention the fact that she killed him. Okay.
And then stole his car because she needed a car to get home, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah, she had to get home somehow. I mean, come on. She shoots the dude dead and she's got to get home somehow. He's got a car. Why not take it? Well, gee, let's not mention anything about the fact that she texted her boyfriend, or was it her brother? I forget. But she texted somebody before the shooting that she was going down there to get the car. That's the reason why she's being charged. Mike Gravely, the district attorney, is claiming this wasn't about sex trafficking. She wanted to steal his car. And guess what she's been in trouble with before? Car theft. That's right. She had already been arrested for stealing cars.
So initially, it was the judge said she could not use self-defense. So this is in Minnesota. And in Minnesota, they have a law that says if you commit a crime while the victim of sex trafficking, you cannot be charged with that crime.
By the way, she said Minnesota. She meant Wisconsin. She'll correct herself later.
Well, they're trying to say that, or they did say at the time, the judge did, that Chrystul was, because she traveled to get to him, that it didn't count.
Well, no, don't go the old sneery faced here. All right. The law is that you can't be held accountable for a crime that's due to being sex trafficked. Okay. She took an Uber to him. She wasn't being sex trafficked at that time. That could be an issue. And so it's important.
Which, if you know anything about sex abuse victims, particularly children, that threat never goes away.
What threat? Do you show me the threat that he made against her? I haven't seen anything like that. It might exist. Maybe she has text messages from old Randall Volar saying, if you try to leave, get away from me, I'll come and kill you. If she does, okay, I'm more than happy to look at that. But I'm not going to treat it as a given. We don't know that she was being sex trafficked. We don't know that she was in fear of him at all. She simply claimed it, and she claimed it after the fact in an attempt to get away with what she did, in my opinion.
Distance doesn't take it away. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the background here and then tell you why this is coming back up very relevantly now because of our good friend Kyle Rittenhouse.
By the way, look how they treat Kyle Rittenhouse. What did Kyle do? He shot 3 people, killed 2 of them. What did she do? She shot a person and killed him. But look how they treat it so differently here. Like, oh, that Kyle Rittenhouse. And of course, all of Kyle's claims, they dismiss them. Oh, that can't be true. But they buy everything that Chyrstul Kizer says.
Yeah. So Chrystul met...
Good friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not friend of the show, Kyle Rittenhouse. How's that? I'm a big fan.
Not friend of the show.
Yeah. So Chrystul met Randy Volar on a website called Backpage when she was 16. So she, at the time, needed money for food and school books and things.
Oh, she needed money for food and school books. That's what she told the cops. That's not necessarily a given. She's a prostitute. She went on the Backpage because she was looking for Johns, okay? She was a prostitute. Randall Volar didn't turn her into a prostitute. She was already one before she met him.
And so she advertised her services.
Her services, okay. You'll notice everything that they say is bathed in euphemisms. Everything. Services, shot. They downplay all of the facts.
On this site. And Randy was the first person to respond to her ad. She actually lived with him for a time.
Oh, wait, she lived with him. This might have been a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship for all we know. Now, I know that he can't have her as a girlfriend because of the age difference. I'm not saying that. But keep in mind, this whole deal about her being sex trafficked, that may be a concoction purely in Chrystul's imagination.
Said that he did regularly sexually abuse her and filmed the abuse for over a year.
For which she might have been a willing participant. We don't know. Now, again, she can't give consent to that. What I'm saying is that they're treating this as if he forced her to do these things. That may not be the case. And that is important because this is a matter of self-defense or not. And if you're a willing participant, it's kind of hard to claim self-defense.
Wow.
Then he forced her to work on Backpage and took the money that she was paid. So basically he was acting as her pimp at that point. But again, we're still talking about a child. This is child rape.
Yeah.
Even if she posted herself on Backpage at 16.
No.
Well, even if Kyle did go to a riot, he was only 17 years old. Oh, wait, it doesn't work for him. And in fact, it works the opposite. He's 17 years old. He had no business doing these things. Okay. But she was 16. Did she have any business posting these ads on Backpage? Did she have any business doing those things?
Change a thing.
No.
So what we know about Villar is that he was arrested in 2017 after a 15-year-old girl reported him to the police for giving her drugs and threatening to kill her. And it turned out that there were actually a bunch of other girls that were also accusing him, all of them Black and underage. He was released the same day when he was arrested. He did not have to pay any bail and said he would receive a court summons, but he never actually did.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not going to defend the police in this matter. I'm not going to defend Gravely, the district attorney's office. Not at all. And I'm not going to certainly defend Randall Volar. The man was a scumbag. Okay, we get it. However, JoJo Rosenbaum was a scumbag too. But if I had seen texts from Kyle to a friend saying that he was going to go to the Kenosha riot so he could kill JoJo Rosenbaum, I would have defended him.
Wow.
So apparently there was evidence, video evidence, of what he had done and had been doing. And the prosecutor's office got that evidence 12 days before Chrystul killed him. And it was 3 months after his arrest.
I get it, but it doesn't exonerate her. Okay? It does show the police and or Mike Gravely, we're not sure where the blame should go, that they acted pretty badly here, but that doesn't excuse what she did. Okay?
So you can kind of see what's happening here.
Yep.
That he's been arrested, he's been, accused of these things. It's going nowhere. And Chrystul knows it. She knows he's going to get away with all of this, and he's going to continue to harm her and other girls, right?
Okay, so let's just pretend that we know what Chrystul was thinking. She may have been very happy to hear that Randall Volar was released without being charged or had to pay a bail. We don't know. Again, all of these explanations were created after the fact. Do you have any evidence that Chyrstul Kizer was dismayed when she found out that Randall Volar was going to be released?
So then this incident happens. So she took
This incident happens. He was shot. This other stuff, like burning his house down and stealing his car. Well, that other stuff. Yeah, you see how this works?
an Uber from Milwaukee to his house. She said because she was tired of what he was doing to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then after she shot him in the head twice, she started the house on fire and called and took his BMW and left.
Mm-hmm.
Took? Oh, she stole it.
Police found his car. She had abandoned it in Milwaukee. They found a receipt in the car and some surveillance video that matched to her, and they arrested her pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She was placed in a detention facility, and her bail was set at $1 million.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, $1 million. Golly, that's crazy. Never mind, Kyle got $2 million, and they were all like, oh, I can't believe he's getting any bail at all. They should keep him in jail. And by the way, the bail was reduced a lot. I think it was $250,000, and that's what allowed people to be able to bail her out.
Yeah. And she sat there for a while until there was some media attention for her, including Alyssa Milano and Tarana Burke.
Boy, if you ever want any evidence, the fact that she's probably guilty, there it is.
And they started circulating her story, and people put together the money to bond her out. So she's been bonded out since 2020, early 2020, I think.
I wonder how they reacted when they found out that Kyle Rittenhouse had been bonded out. Probably wasn't, wow.
Well, here's where this, so she still doesn't have a trial date. I think, you know, thanks to coronavirus, they haven't been able to do that yet. But what her attorneys now want is they want another shot at the self-defense claim. Because Kyle Rittenhouse got in a car, drove across state lines.
Oh my God, he drove across state lines. They're still pounding this. Kyle drove a shorter distance to Kenosha than Chrystul did when she shot Randall Volar. It's about half the distance.
To the city where he went, Kenosha, and got involved in what was going on there, and then claimed self-defense and was acquitted. So
he was involved in what was going on there. So was Chrystul. She got involved what was going on inside Randall Volar's house. It's essentially shooting him in the back of the head and killing him. Okay. And listen to the argument. And he was acquitted, so she should be as well. I told you they're going to start making this claim.
So if he could do that, then why can't Chyrstul Kizer, who was the victim of sex trafficking at the hands of this man, be considered also for self-defense?
Well, let me tell you the reason why. If you think about it at a little bit deeper level, you might be able to figure it out. First of all, they're two different cases. They're not really that much alike. Yeah, they're the same age, same town, and both involved intentional homicide, but that's where it kind of stops. Okay? Why should she be convicted and Kyle acquitted? Well, it depends on what really happened. Okay? She's only claiming she was sex trafficked. There's no evidence that I have seen that she actually was. There might be. Okay? I haven't seen it though. All we have is Chyrstul Kizer claiming it, and it was really claimed by her lawyers deep in the process. So it looks to me, okay, now let's think about another thing. I am sure that anytime Kyle made any kind of claim that they thought was false, that was proof he was guilty. He's a liar. She lied to the police. She claimed she didn't even know Randall. She claimed she didn't even know Randall Volar. Then they said, oh, no, you do, okay? And then she claimed self-defense. She claimed that he was raping her at the time she shot him. And then they said, well, how did he get in the chair? Well, okay, so he was sitting in his chair. She shot him in the back of the head. How do you claim that to be self-defense? And that's when they've dragged out the sex trafficking deal. She has lied throughout the entire investigation. Okay, let me see. Are there other reasons why she might get convicted while Kyle got acquitted? Well, let's see here. The motive. All right. We watched the video testimony of Kyle Rittenhouse. There wasn't a shred of evidence to show that he went there to do anything wrong. Okay. He went there to protect property and walk around and help the injured. Now, a lot of you might say, well, he shouldn't have been doing those things. Fine. There's no evidence, though, that he went to Kenosha to shoot anybody. However, She went to Kenosha to shoot Randall Volar. She said so in a text message. She took a gun with her. And by the way, that gun is a really illegal thing to have, but that's another matter. But whatever the case, motive is a big difference here between the two cases, or at least it looks like it. Now, maybe there's going to be some evidence to show that she really didn't go down there to kill Randall Volar after all. Well, okay, fine. But there's also evidence that she went there to kill him to steal his car. Don't recall ever Kyle Rittenhouse doing something like that. She also bragged on social media after the fact. Kyle didn't do that. If Kyle had, do you think that they would be saying, well, that's not that important now? Just because he went up online and said that he shot some protesters and was happy about it and said he would do it again, that doesn't mean anything. You think they'd be saying that? Oh, hell no. That would be proof that he's guilty. But she did it, and they're going to say, well, now that's not that big a deal. So yeah, there are plenty of reasons why Kyle Rittenhouse got acquitted and she might get convicted. Oh, and the fact that she has a criminal background and he doesn't, that's another thing. That goes back to the motive, though. The prosecution's claiming she went there to steal his car. Okay, well, what was she arrested for earlier? Car theft. Now, does that car theft get introduced as other acts evidence in her trial? Probably. And of course, they're going to scream bloody murder. Why is it that you can allow the jury to hear about the car thefts when they wouldn't allow the jury in Kyle Rittenhouse's trial to hear about pudgies? Well, that goes back to the Sullivan test now, doesn't it? The motives are the same, and therefore they're going to probably be able to introduce that as evidence. Now, they can't use it to convict her of the car theft, all right? And it could be that the judge tells the prosecution that as long as Chyrstul Kizer is up for car theft, I'm not going to allow you to bring this thing in. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but if I was the judge, I'd probably tell them that. Look, as long as she's up for car theft, you can't bring this thing up because you can't convict her of car theft because she had been accused of car theft before. That's called propensity evidence. However, the prosecution could come back and say, screw the car theft thing. We won't even pursue it. Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the evidence is still admissible. There's a whole thing about the Sullivan test that says that just because you decide not to pursue certain charges that allows you to bring in this other act's evidence, it's going to get a little bit sticky. Okay.
Why indeed?
Why indeed?
What's good for the goose? Come on, man.
Oh, what's good for the goose? Well, let's see here. Let's play this game because what we're going to do is we're going to bring down our IQ level to how they think. Let's see here. George Zimmerman was found not guilty of shooting Trayvon Martin. Well, what's good for the goose? I guess Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have been convicted either. Is that how this works? I find another case somewhere where a person got away with something or whatever, or maybe you might think he got away with, and I can use that as an argument in this other case. So, I mean, it takes effort, I know, but sometimes you really have to examine these cases at a much deeper level. And to be honest with you, I haven't explored Chyrstul Kizer as deeply as I could have. I'm going to over the next few months, though. But what I have seen so far doesn't look too good for her.
Right. So, of course, you know, that law hardly ever gets used, and it usually only gets used with white guys, that self-defense law, and they're going, there's evidence proving that she is a sex trafficking victim.
Yeah.
Who killed her
Wow.
abuser.
There's evidence. Have you seen it? Have either of these two seen that evidence? No. All we have is Chyrstul Kizer's claim. It might be there, but notice how they treat the evidence as a given. Oh, there's evidence there. Wow, okay. Well, you haven't seen it, and I have a feeling it doesn't exist, but we'll see.
So this is a very historic situation, because we know there have been other victims of sex trafficking who have killed their abusers who are sitting in prison.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what's good for the goose, right? So if they were convicted and sent to prison, why shouldn't Chrystul? Is that how this argument works? All of a sudden, it's not much fun anymore, is it?
And so a lot of really historic stuff is happening in our legal system right now. And this isn't one of those cases. And so I wanted to share it because so now the judge has said that they can review this and that her attorneys need to be able to prove that she was a victim of sex trafficking, which I don't think is going to be too hard.
It's going to be very hard because unlike you, I actually looked at the brief filed by the appeals court that describes exactly what she has to go through, okay? I looked at the appeal. There are 5 elements of it, and I don't think she's going to be able to meet them. One of the elements is that she has to prove, and this is kind of strange how it's phrased, but she has to prove that there could not have been another reason why she killed him, but there is the car theft. It's going to be very difficult to overcome that hurdle. Now, she might get a sympathetic jury, okay? I'm not saying she's going to be convicted, okay? However, I'm just saying is that her acquittal is not a given here. And if she is convicted, it's probably because the evidence pointed to her guilt.
Considering, you know, all the digital evidence, the video evidence that the police had on Belair that they didn't turn over, you know. So at this,
they're under the impression that if her defense attorneys can show that she was sex trafficked, that means that she can get away with killing the dude. It doesn't say that. That's not what the law says. The actual crime that you do has to be connected. There has to be a strong nexus to the sex trafficking. I don't see it here, to be honest, but you know, who knows? But just because she was sex trafficked doesn't give her a license to kill. It doesn't give her a license to do anything she wants. According to their reading of it, she could go in and rob a bank. And all she would have to do is, well, I was being sex trafficked by somebody, and so I decided to rob a bank. You have to let me go. Sorry, you can't do anything to me. It doesn't work like that. Okay? There has to be a nexus between the actual crime and the sex trafficking. It's going to be pretty tough to prove that, I think.
At this point, you know, we're just basically awaiting this to be reviewed for her. But it's possible that she will not go to trial. I don't know.
Wow.
And does it?
Oh, no, she's going to trial. Okay. I don't care what the appeals court says. She's going to trial. Whether the judge is going to allow the jury to consider this self-defense claim of hers, it's not really self-defense, but okay, we'll use the term. Whether he's going to be allowed to let the jury think about this is not understood yet, but she's going to trial.
Count when she burns the house down and takes the car? Will she be charged for those things, but not the murder? Don't know. Maybe.
But
don't know. But what basically what Minnesota law or Wisconsin law, sorry, what Wisconsin law says is criminal acts that are done while being sex trafficked cannot be charged. So
that's not what the law says.
So, I mean, then that would be all of it. So we shall see. But Chyrstul Kizer has certainly been through a lot in her young life. Let me show you a picture of Chrystul.
Oh, here we go. We're going to show pictures of her because this proves her innocence. We're going to show pictures of her. Oh, how cute. She must not be guilty. That's what this is about.
This is Chrystul in court. And what she is wearing is a bulletproof vest.
No, it's a self-harm vest, but that's okay. I made a mistake too, so I'll let her slide on that one.
Look at how tiny she is.
Yeah.
Look at how big that vest is on her.
Oh, so she's tiny, therefore she's innocent.
She is teeny.
She's a child.
A child who was trying to traffic herself to pay for food and school books, for Christ's sake.
Ah, that's her story. She was a prostitute. Okay, let's face it. She was a prostitute. She did it to get money. Who knows? But, you know, this whole thing about buying books and food, I mean, I'm not sure the jury is going to buy this.
Right.
What
Right.
kind of life has this kid had from the get-go?
Right.
That is so sad.
And then horribly abused and taken advantage of by this man. She finally managed to kill him to get away from him.
Mhm.
And
They have followed her argument hook, line, and sinker, bought everything. There is no critical thinking here at all. They haven't researched it. They haven't even decided amongst themselves, like, well, maybe she's not being truthful here. Doesn't even enter their mind. Of course, when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse, who, by the way, was also pretty small, but that's no excuse for him. When it comes to him, they wouldn't believe anything he said.
Not just for her. Not she did that for everybody.
She did. She did.
She did it for everybody. No, I think she probably did it for herself.
She knew. I mean, she knew he'd been arrested. Nothing freaking happened. He didn't even have to bail out. They just released him and then did nothing for 3 months.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the fear for her and the other girls involved?
I don't know, because I don't even know if they had any fear. I don't know how Chrystul felt about Randall Volar. Well, obviously she didn't like him too much, but I don't know if she feared him. Who knows? Maybe that will come out in the trial, right? That's why we're having a trial, to find out. We don't just buy people's stories.
No.
Knowing that this man is just going to get away with this and he's going to dog them forever.
And this should trigger
pick up
an
more
internal
girls.
investigation too into why.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Why was this man suspected of sex trafficking just sent back home with complete lenience to do whatever he wanted? Why? How did that happen?
This was a white
Why
man.
did the prosecutor have all of that proof on his desk for 12 days? Is that what you said?
This is a white man. See, that's what this is about.
And they had
3
still done
months.
nothing. 3 months.
3 months.
Why had they done nothing? I mean,
Why had they done nothing?
yeah.
But you know what we know is the perpetrator was a white man.
Oh, he's a white man. Oh, well, hell. Shoot him.
Mhm.
The victims,
They're all black
children.
girls.
And if they had been white, well, that's not a big deal. I mean, come on.
It's horrifying to me.
Yeah.
But you know, if we can use the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict for good
Then
to
by
help
God.
people who deserve it, then we're gonna fucking do it, man.
That's
And that's
right.
basically what her attorneys are saying is you can't let Kyle Rittenhouse off for what he
No.
did and continue forward prosecuting Chyrstul Kizer.
See, they don't even want her prosecuted. They think that they shouldn't even prosecute her because Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted. Well, they shouldn't even bring charges against her. Never mind the fact that A, she had stolen cars before. B, she told her boyfriend that she was going down there to get him a car, Randall's. Also, she texted somebody, I think it was her boyfriend, that she went to Milwaukee to kill Randall Volar. She put a gun in her purse and went down there and blew his brains out. And the other part that you have to think about is the fact that he was not attacking her at the time. He was sitting in a chair. She was standing behind him, okay? And then blew his brains out. Then set fire to the house to cover the evidence. And she admitted she did that to cover the evidence. Then stole his car. But all that, they say, well, she shouldn't even be charged. Good grief. But this is how bad it gets. When you get out there, they buy everything that these people say.
Can they request Kyle's grandpa as the judge, or would that actually help in this case?
It's hard to say.
Oh, where?
I kind of doubt it would be helpful.
Probably.
So we'll continue to give updates on this case because it's very interesting, and it's really my hope for Chrystul that this can be dropped so that she can just have the opportunity to heal from what she's been through and grow up. You know, she's an adult now and has been awaiting trial since 2018. And
Kyle's been hitting the circuit hard. He ought to be the champion of this case.
I mean, come on. Why not? If it's good for him, then it must be good for Chyrstul Kizer, right?
Yeah, if you're a moron and you really don't put any critical thinking into any of your arguments, that makes perfect sense. Oh, by the way, they're telling us that they're going to give us updates as they come out. You can really trust them to give you updates, right? Again, you go to the evidence box. I've been telling people this. If there was evidence to exonerate Kyle Rittenhouse that really showed that he was innocent that night, those two would have buried it. They would have went out into their backyard, dug a hole, and buried it. Under no circumstances would they have given that to the police. And if they uncover any evidence that points to Chyrstul Kizer's guilt, under no circumstances are they going to mention it. You're not going to get updates from these people. This is propaganda. They didn't even admit that she killed him. She shot him. And there was that stuff that went on inside that house. And I mean, yeah, updates. Okay, yeah, we don't have exactly Reuters here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough for me. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.